if you've been playing the same licks over and over and over again when you improvise, stay tuned, because in this video, you're going to learn how to stop doing that and create more interesting lines in 3 simple steps. Hi, I'm Donna from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. Now, maybe you find yourself playing this lick every time you start a solo or a phrase. And it's really hard to stop doing that because you know it so well, it's so comfortable. And maybe deep down inside you feel like your solos are kind of boring and not as cool sounding as other people's solos. And you know that this lick sounds cool, so you tend to use it a little too much. Well, to stop playing the same licks over and over again, let's get to step 1, which is taking a favorite lick, like the one I just played, and varying it enough so that it sounds different and interesting. Now, that sounds easy enough, but the mistake that people make in doing this is that they don't know the original lick well enough to be able to vary it. Here's what I mean. They focus so much on getting the notes right, a little bit on the rhythms too, but they don't take into account where the lick starts and ends in the measures. Now, in order to fix that, what they do is they create different variations. That makes sense, but they're still unaware of the context of the lick, which makes it really hard to use it correctly. So if we take this common lick, it starts on an upbeat, and it's usually a pickup style lick to a new phrase or something like that. Listen again. So to not play this lick the same way each time, let's vary it like this. All right, this variation's a little simpler. It doesn't start on the upbeat, it starts on the downbeat of the second beat of the measure, and so it's not a pickup like the original lick. Listen again. Now, there's no chromaticism, and you may be thinking, oh, that's kind of boring. But couple of things here. The idea is not to play the same licks over and over again, right? Now, let me show you this example in action, though, because this sounds really cool. Here's a version that starts off the melody for Nat Adderley's One for Daddy-O. It uses the flat 3 instead of the 3 because the song's in minor. Let's take a listen. That one was simple, but it sounded really cool, really effective. All right, now here's a different thought, right? Let's take the initial lick, right? Which is in major, right? It goes up in direction. Ba-da-ba-do-bum. Why not play it backwards? Ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Now here's a bonus tip. It would sound better if you use the flat 3 because the melody's going down in direction and it sounds more authentic that way. That's the way that most people would normally play that lick. And it's similar to the idea from Daddy-O. Okay, let's move to step 2, which is a step that inspired Derek Brown to create his own style of playing. It's simply listening to different styles of music. Now, too often people just listen to what they're comfortable with because they don't understand some other styles. And in order to try to fix that, people then pick a style that's not much different from what they're used to. This limits their creativity because they're not getting the full benefit from going outside the box. So when I interviewed Derek for my Everything Saxophone podcast, he talked about how he listened to African and European music and how it influenced his playing. Take a listen. This was our very first episode of the podcast.
So I had a hard time doing that, and I wasn't just listening to jazz music or classical, but I was also listening to stuff from the world music section of the library, and just checking out so much stuff that I maybe normally wouldn't, that I wouldn't listen to normally just in a car ride, but just what's this stuff? Music from Africa or music from Eastern Europe, and so I'd always kind of had a knack for listening to unusual things and not just saxophone things. That's kind of a key thing too, is to not only trying to sound like what's out there. And I wasn't even listening to this stuff thinking oh, how am I going to use this on the saxophone? It's just a curiosity. And, I always recommend that to students. Just get interested in stuff and dig deeper. And, you never know how that's going to affect you.
Let's look at someone like Michael Brecker. In his later years, he started getting influenced by Bulgarian folk music, and when he was recording his album Pilgrimage at the same time, he was writing compositions directly inspired by this music. Just like Derek Brown, listening to music from different cultures can spark so many ideas you never would have thought of before. And as an interesting side note, the ever amazing Ben Wendell was asked by Michael Brecker's wife Susan to complete Michael's composition influenced by the Bulgarian folk music. This past year in 2023, he started to work on these pieces with students from the Berklee School of Music and the Amsterdam Conservatory. Now, another thing that you can do that's related to listening to other styles of music is listen to other instrumentalists. They may phrase something different than a saxophonist would. So Brecker not only listened to different styles of music and incorporated them into his own music, he also listened to different instrumentalists. He was known as being a really good drummer. People that would perform with him, would jam with him, said that when Brecker got on the drums, they could hear the influence of Elvin Jones in his drumming. Hey, by the way, if you're getting a lot of value from this video, give it a like, share it, I'd love that, and subscribe to my channel. All right, now to step 3 for not playing the same licks over and over again. Instead of relying on that memorized lick, really learn the chords to your songs so that you have more possibilities. The mistake most people make is that they think learning the chords is really hard. They may have had a bad experience learning some music theory, and the chords just don't stick in their mind. Instead, to try to fix that, they rely on playing one pentatonic or blues scale over the entire song form. And the mistake is that those scales don't always fit all the chords in the song. So in order to not play the same licks over and over again, and also to not rely on playing one pentatonic scale over the entire form, practice your chords differently. Now, if you need inspiration for this, listen to the rock sax solos from the 50s and 60s, when most of their solos were chord tone based. For example, listen to the solo from The Wanderer, which outlines the chords. All right, now that's a basic solo, but it still sounds good today because of the emphasis on rhythm and playing with good timing. So there you go. There's your 3 tips for not playing the same licks over and over again. Now, if you need help breaking free from playing those same licks, we've helped thousands of saxophone players over the years through our courses and programs. Click the link in the description below, contact us, see if you're someone that we can help too. On that note, take care. Have a great day.